somewhere in the vicinity of the category folk music. I would say then that folk music as a medium has been a tool or a vehicle, depending on how one might look at it, used in an attempt to wash out, one might say, the grid drawn or formed to compartmentalize, therefore separate different sounding styles of music. A separation that is largely useful in identifying what a consumer is looking for, once predominantly in record stores, but now primarily on different streaming platforms. This naming and identifying is quite helpful in that regard. So I'm thankful for the label. Funny thing is, for us, we have literally seen our records in the following sections: rock and roll, country, bluegrass, folk rock, alt country, alternative, and so on. This is a good sign, not necessarily financially, but it's not a lot of focus there, but it's seeing evidence that we are part of a dissolving clarity. A clarity that as a human I deal in every day when I talk about the clarity of I am a North Carolinian, so can I play in that? Of course, it's important. But as a soul, one that I'm obligated to poke at, this clarity, I'm obligated to push against it. I think folk music should be music for all the people. Seems reasonable, right? If this is the case, I sense that regardless of the sound and traditional instruments that it is associated with, folk music is likely much less a genre conversation and more of a conversation about commonality, leading to inevitable oneness. This is not to say that folk music, or music alone for that matter, has been given the task or the ability to unify all people. But it is to say that music, especially music for all of the people, does a great job at pointing out commonality among countless folks that undoubtedly disagree about many things. At this point, Seth now enters the bus, and we begin talking about bus logistics. It's amazing how traveling and all the planning and details surrounding it tend to take up much more time than actually playing music when it comes to being a professional musician. In much more practical terms, folk music, from my perspective, is music with a connection to the past. The word tradition takes care of that. This tradition is an ever-flowing river of sounds, stories, and choices. I believe it has as much to do with how we live our lives as it does with what specific medium we choose to express our lives. The how takes care of it all. It's difficult for me to stop at any label and thinking or intellectualizing over something that someone devotes themselves to. With true devotion comes soul play. And in soul play, labels and numbers fall, like Thomas Merton describes when he says about the external self. It dies and is cast aside like a soiled garment in the genuine awakening of the contemplative. There's a lot missing here. I'm sure that I have barely scratched the surface of what could be discussed, but skipping ahead to the point, I have a difficult time talking or writing about folk music as a specific type of music because of what music that humans make is there not a connection to the past. I wonder what song written today will be sung in times of peace and in times of war 1,000 years from now. I stopped there, I just fell off, that was it, but that was where it was going.